Chapter 4 The Rainmaker. The Bottersnikes threw the gumballs in the air a few times so that they could shout, "Got you!" and grab them and pop them in the jam tins again, and have the job done right and proper way. Then they shouted, "Home now," and began the long waddle back to the rubbish heaps. Bottersnikes do not often sing, which is a good thing, as their singing sounds like hacksaws cutting tin. But they sang this time because they were so pleased to have the gumballs back. "Come on, Gumball, into the trap, watch him tumble, wee blap." The Gumballs did not think it was a good song at all, but the Bottersnikes laughed and laughed until you'd think they'd had a dreadful cold and no hankies. Chank was the merriest of all, but he wouldn't have laughed so loudly if he had known what had happened in his roof. Willie Gumble had fallen out through one of the ear holes. He hid until he was sure the Bottersnikes had not seen him, then followed at a safe distance. Chank didn't find out until they had got back to the rubbish heaps at night time. Then he flew into red-eared rage. He stormed up and down, shouting that it isn't fair. He should have two Gumballs, not none, and anyway no one would have any Gumballs at all if it hadn't been for him being brave and clever. But no one took the slightest notice, and the king roared, "Snonk!" The king said, "Bottersnikes, thanks to me being a remarkable king, we got the Gumballs back. I deserve a party. Fortunately, it is my birthday the day after tomorrow." "Hoo, hoo, hoo, hoo!" the Bottersnikes yelled. "The king's party." The Gumballs sighed. They guessed how much extra nasty work there would be. The king had a birthday 4 or 5 times a year, or oftener if he felt like it. And each birthday they had a big party that lasted about 3 days. This time they would have the Gumballs to do all the work. The king went on, "The Gumballs will make ready for my party tomorrow, if it is fine." "Oh yes, if it is fine," the other said. "Let's go and see the Weathersnike." It is no use the Bottersnikes thinking of having a party if it is going to rain, of course. And when they want to know what the weather is going to be, they go and see the Weathersnike. The Weathersnike is a very old and wrinkly Bottersnike who lives under an upturned bath and seldom leaves it. He is very fat and very important, and never gets his head sat on, perhaps because, unlike the rest, he has sharp little horns. The Weathersnike has a dish outside his bathtub, which he uses as a rain gauge, to measure the rain that falls, and he has a shadow stick stuck in the ground, and when he sees a shadow from it, he knows the sun is shining. Then he has a chimney poked through the plug hole of his bath for the soot to fall down, and a piece of seaweed hung up which goes limp and wet when it's going to rain, and he listens to frogs croaking and watches swallows flying low and ants building roosts to their nests, and all the other signs that mean bad weather. When he is asked for a forecast, he will putter importantly about his instruments, as he calls them and says, "Huh," and "Well now." But, truth to tell, what he really goes by is whether his horns hurt or not. "Wake up, Weathersnike," the Bottersnikes bellowed. And they bumped and thumped and banged and danced on the bathtub until the Weathersnike crawled out, a bit red-eared at being disturbed in the middle of the night. "Tell us if it's going to rain. It's the king's party the day after tomorrow." They had to shout loud, as the Weathersnike is rather deaf. "Ho-hum," said the Weathersnike. "King's party, eh? Well now, let me see." He pottered around his instruments and looked at his shadow stick. "Aha! The sun's not shining," he said importantly. "Of course it's not shining," the king snapped. "It's the middle of the night." "Middle of what?" said the Weathersnike. "The night," roared the king. "Well, it might," the Weathersnike agreed. "But then, again, it might not. You can't take chances with the weather." "How can the sun be shining if it's the middle of the night?" bawled the king. "It's not shining," said the Weathersnike. "I've just told you. Weren't you listening?" "The sun's not shining because it's the middle of the night," roared the king, whose ears were lighting up like beacons.